Welcome. And today, wow, we have a story that honestly, it almost defies belief. It's layered, it's tragic, and it involves some really chilling criminal planning. We're talking about Susanna Thayer. She's a grandmother from Ontario, Canada. She was looking for love, really just connection after losing her husband. But that search led her down this terrible path. First, a romance scam that took everything, her life savings, and then almost unbelievably a second act where she was turned into an international drug mule, facing life in prison. It's staggering.
It really is. And what's crucial here, what we're really going to unpack, is how this wasn't just, bad luck striking twice. This looks like a highly sophisticated two-stage operation,
Sure.
likely by the same criminal syndicate. Stage 1, financial ruin. Stage 2, weaponize her vulnerability, her shame, her need for something positive to use her for a completely different crime. So our mission today is to really dissect the planning, the psychological manipulation, just the chilling efficiency of it all.
Okay, let's set the scene. Where does this all begin? Who was Susanna Thayer before all this happened?
Well, she was living a pretty quiet life in Barrie, Ontario, small town Canada, a mother, a grandmother to 6 kids, and really central to her life, she'd been married for a very long time, since she was just 18, decades.
So her entire adult life basically was anchored in that relationship.
Exactly. And that's the critical piece. Her husband, who was actually a former police officer, tragically died in 2016. And that left this huge void. Not just emotional, but her daughter Angela said Susanna was quite sheltered by that long marriage. Maybe a bit naive about the online world.
Especially the dangers of online dating, I imagine.
Precisely. So she's grieving, she's lost, and she goes online looking for companionship. Not excitement, just trying to find that love and stability again.
And that kind of vulnerability, I suppose, makes you a target?
A prime target. Yeah. And almost immediately, she connects with someone, Walter Williams. She even gave him a nickname, the Good Doctor.
The Good Doctor. Okay, so what was his story? What did he tell her?
The profile was almost perfectly crafted for her. He said he was 63, so about her age. A neurosurgeon, instantly credible, high status, and crucially, a widower, working for the United Nations, on assignment in Syria.
Okay, so the widower part, that's the hook, right? Shared loss.
Absolutely. Instant common ground. They both knew what it was like to love and lose someone. It created this immediate, deep connection. She let her guard down fast.
But looking back, surely there were signs, things that didn't add up.
Oh, huge red flags. Her friends, especially one named Sue, were really worried. They pointed out, how could a UN neurosurgeon in Syria, a war zone basically, have all day to text a grandmother in Ontario?
Yeah, the time commitment alone sounds suspicious.
It should have been impossible, right? But that's the grooming process. The emotional connection she felt, it just overrode the logical part of her brain.
Did her friends try to warn her off?
Explicitly. They told her, never send money. Whatever you do, don't send money. But she was already too invested in the fantasy. In her mind, this wasn't some scammer. This was her long-distance partner, maybe her future husband.
And the scammer, Walter. How did he get the money? What were the tactics?
They played right into his cover story. He couldn't access his own bank accounts because he was overseas, international complications working in Syria. Plausible, right?
Yeah, you can see how that might sound convincing if you're already hooked.
Then it was things like needing help filing taxes, something only a trusted partner would handle. Or the real classic, needing money for military leave or clearance fees so he could finally come visit her.
Always framing it like he was the one in need, but for legitimate professional reasons.
Exactly. He wasn't begging. He was presented as this high-status professional facing temporary high-stakes problems. And she, as his partner, needed to help.
And they even sent her something to make it seem more real?
Yes, this is key. They sent her a fake marriage certificate. For Susanna, this wasn't just a promise anymore. It was paper. It was proof.
Wow. So in her head, she was actually married to this guy.
That's how she saw it. She wasn't sending money to a stranger online. She was helping her husband, who was just, stuck financially overseas. That shift in thinking is what let her give away everything.
And how much did she end up losing?
It's staggering. Over $200,000 Canadian.
$200,000?
Yeah. And it wasn't just savings. She maxed out credit cards, emptied bank accounts. When that was gone, she even borrowed money from her own children, desperate to help her husband.
So the first scam basically wiped her out completely.
Totally. Financially ruined. And the consequences were immediate and, deeply humiliating for her. She lost her home, had to move in with her daughter, Angela. Angela said it must have been incredibly tough for her mom, going from being independent for decades to suddenly being dependent, knowing she'd been conned, living in a guest room.
And that state financially broke, ashamed, living with her daughter. That's where she was when the second part of this begins.
Precisely. And this is critical. The criminals knew she had no money left. So the second scam wasn't about money. It was about exploiting that shame, that need for redemption, for purpose.
Okay, so she's hit rock bottom, basically. But she tries to do something positive with it.
She does. It's actually quite powerful. She decided to turn her trauma into advocacy. She started writing a book.
A book about her experience.
Yeah, the title says it all. I've Been Conned. A book for dummies. Her goal was to warn others, to prevent people from falling into the same trap that destroyed her finances and her sense of self.
That's quite brave, actually, trying to make something good out of it.
Incredibly brave. But here's where the story takes another dark turn, revealing just how strategic these criminals are. They targeted her again while she was writing this very book about being conned.
Wait, the same group? How do we know?
We can't be 100% certain it's the exact same individuals. But the pattern, the sophistication, the way the second scam leverages the outcome of the first, it strongly suggests the same organized syndicate. They knew she had no money left, but they saw a new vulnerability. Her desperate need for validation, for someone to believe in her, support her book project. Her new identity was wrapped up in being this advocate.
So while she's literally writing the manual on how not to get scammed,
They're already setting up the next con, a far more dangerous one this time.
who was the second scammer? What was his approach?
She met him online, of course, James Kaywood, and the profile, eerily similar to Walter Williams.
How similar?
He claimed to be U.S. military from Los Angeles, but currently stationed in Asia for work. Another man overseas, supposedly in a position of authority.
That similarity alone should have screamed danger, shouldn't it?
You'd think so. But this is where the bait and switch comes in. Kaywood's approach was completely different.
Different how?
He never asked for money. Not once. Because, presumably, they knew she didn't have any.
Ah, okay. So what did he do instead?
He offered encouragement. He praised her manuscript. He supported her mission to warn others. He became her cheerleader.
And that difference, that was the key.
It was everything. She felt this immense relief. He's not asking for money, she probably thought. This time it's different. He must be real.
Plus, he actually spoke to her on the phone.
Yes, multiple times. Not just texting like Walter. Hearing a voice, having conversations, that made him feel much more tangible, more legitimate to her. It broke the pattern she was writing about.
It's just the level of planning is chilling. Targeting her specific vulnerability after the first scam. Why go to all this trouble, though? The travel, the logistics later on, they already got the money. Why risk a more serious crime like drug smuggling?
That's a really insightful question. It points to how organized they are. Stealing the money was step one, almost a prerequisite. By making her poor, they ensured two things. One, she couldn't afford to travel herself, making an all-expenses-paid trip incredibly appealing. Two, the shame and trauma from the first scam created this desperate need for something positive, an adventure, validation. She was primed to take a bigger risk for what seemed like a lifeline.
So they switched from financial exploitation to using her as a pawn.
Exactly. A disposable asset for logistical purposes. And the lure was powerful.
What was the lure?
Kaywood offered her a trip, all expenses paid.
Right.
1 month in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He claimed he was there on assignment and they could finally meet.
Ethiopia, for someone who'd never even left Canada.
It sounded like the adventure of a lifetime, a chance to escape her current situation, feel special again. She later said she felt like a princess because he was paying for everything.
What did your daughter Angela think about this?
Angela was horrified. She knew her mom had just been conned. She knew she couldn't afford any risks. She begged her not to go.
But Susanna went anyway.
She insisted. She saw it as her chance to turn things around, have an adventure. She arrived in Addis Ababa on August 12th, 2022.
And was he there to meet her?
No. A car met her, took her to an apartment-style hotel. The staff seemed to be expecting her, everything arranged. It felt smooth, controlled.
But no James Kaywood?
No James.
Huh?
And so began the waiting game.
What were his excuses this time?
Always tied to his supposed military job. He was waiting for his replacement to arrive, waiting to be discharged from his assignment so he could leave. Constant delays, keeping the hope alive.
And did he give her any instructions while she waited?
Yes, and this is a key detail showing the control aspect. He explicitly told her to stay inside the hotel at all times. Don't go out.
Did she listen?
No, actually. She wanted the adventure she was promised. She started exploring Addis Ababa on her own. She even specifically asked the hotel reception not to tell James she'd been out.
That defiance might have seemed like independence, but it probably didn't help her case later.
Likely not. It masked the real, controlled nature of her presence there. While she waited those 3 weeks, something else happened.
What was that?
She met 2 men. They presented themselves as James's associates. They checked in on her, drove her to get a required COVID test.
Okay. Did she get any sense of who they were?
She actually filmed them discreetly in the car. Later, investigators looked at that footage, listened to their broken English. They concluded the dialect sounded like it was from West Africa, specifically Nigeria, which is a known global center for sophisticated online fraud.
So boots on the ground, likely hired locally or part of the network?
Almost certainly. Low-level operatives handling the physical interaction. Meanwhile, Susanna was feeling isolated, strung along.
And trying to keep up appearances back home.
Tragically, yes. She was sending friends stock photos of safaris, things she wasn't actually doing. Lying about having this grand adventure, probably to avoid more judgment after the first scam.
All while her visa for Ethiopia was about to run out.
Exactly. 3 weeks were almost up. The clock was ticking.
So the visa's expiring. Jeng still hasn't shown up. What happens now? Does the trip just end?
No, this is where the syndicate makes its move. The pivot. Suddenly, James has a new assignment.
Where?
Hong Kong. And conveniently, he wants her to meet him there instead. He immediately buys her a plane ticket. Addis Ababa to Hong Kong. Still maintaining that illusion of control, of taking care of her.
So the destination changes just as her time in Ethiopia runs out.
Precisely. It keeps her moving, keeps her under their influence. But her friend Sue back home, she saw this coming.
The same friend who warned her about Walter Williams.
The same one. Sue made one last desperate plea. She told Susanna flat out, "You are being groomed. They're setting you up to be a drug runner."
But Susanna didn't listen.
She was too far in, too invested in James, in the hope of finally meeting him in the adventure. She packed her bags for Hong Kong.
Meanwhile, her family, back in Canada, were they still trying to figure things out?
They were frantic. Angela and Susanna's grandson did a reverse image search on the photos James K. Wood had sent.
And what did they find?
Multiple scam alerts linked to those exact photos. They knew he was fake. They knew she was being conned again. But they still didn't grasp the motive. Why Hong Kong? Why all this expense? What was the end game?
They didn't suspect drugs yet.
It seems not. The scale of it, the method. It wasn't obvious until the very end.
And the end came quickly, didn't it? Just before she left Ethiopia.
Just hours before her flight to Hong Kong. The 2 associates, the men she'd filmed, showed up at her hotel one last time.
With what?
With a gift.
Yeah.
A gift from the lover for life, they called it. It was a brand new suitcase.
A suitcase?
Filled with several brand new dresses. For her to wear in Hong Kong, supposedly. A thoughtful gesture from James. Exactly. It seems perfect.
Yeah.
Romantic, even. An extension of the all-expenses-paid treatment.
And she took it.
She took it. Flew to Hong Kong with that suitcase, those dresses, and walked straight into disaster.
What happened when she landed? September 6th, 2022.
Hong Kong Customs. They're known for being incredibly vigilant. They flagged her luggage almost immediately. Something wasn't right.
What did they notice?
The dresses, they felt unusually heavy.
Heavy dresses.
Yeah. And when they inspected them closely, they found it.
The drugs.
1 kilogram. That's about 2.2 pounds of cocaine.
Hidden in the dresses? How?
This is where the sophistication really shows. It wasn't just stuffed in the lining or something obvious. It was hidden inside 262 individual buttons sewn onto the dresses.
Buttons. They put cocaine inside the buttons.
Meticulously. They must have dissolved the cocaine, molded it into the shape of buttons, then attached 262 of these drug-filled buttons onto the new dresses.
Wow. That's intricate.
Extremely. It's designed to defeat standard checks. X-rays might miss small amounts spread across so many tiny items. It takes incredible effort, resources. This wasn't some low-level amateur job. This was organized crime.
And the value?
Estimated street value around $150,000 Canadian.
So this was the end game. They couldn't get more money from her, so they used her trust, her desperation, to transport a significant amount of cocaine.
That's exactly it. She was the mule, unwitting, but carrying their product across international borders.
How did she react when they found it?
She described it later as pure shock. Her legs turned to jelly. She had absolutely no idea.
And the arrest.
Brutal. Immediate. They threw a hood over her head, handcuffed her. The image released to the public made her look like a hardened criminal, not a bewildered grandmother.
And she was taken straight to prison.
Maximum security women's prison in Hong Kong, where drug trafficking charges are incredibly severe. We're talking potential life imprisonment.
What were conditions like? Did she have legal help?
Her ordeal was harrowing. She claimed she was denied a lawyer initially. And crucially, she said they withheld medication for a pre-existing heart condition.
That sounds like coercion.
She certainly felt it was. She described being handcuffed for 3 solid days before they even did the formal video interrogation, worn down physically and psychologically.
3 days handcuffed.
That's her claim. And during the interrogation itself, she reached a point where she called the treatment torture.
And the interrogator's response.
According to Susanna, the interrogator just looked at her, maybe even smiled, and confirmed, yes, it is.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling.
It paints a picture of immense pressure being applied, perhaps to get a confession or just to break her spirit. The system was treating her as guilty until proven innocent.
So Susanna's locked up in Hong Kong, facing life. What could her family possibly do from Canada?
Her daughter Angela really stepped up. It was a desperate situation. She flew to Hong Kong, trying to help, trying to understand what was happening.
Did she get to see her mother?
She managed one visit. Just one. For 15 minutes. And then a massive COVID outbreak hit the prison system, and everything went into complete lockdown. No more visits allowed.
So Angela's there alone, can't even see her mom. What did she do?
She found help. Crucial help, actually.
Yeah.
She connected with a man named John Witherspoon. He's a 76-year-old Catholic pastor based in Hong Kong. And he has this specific ministry, this calling, to help foreigners who've been tricked into becoming drug mules. Often elderly people, often women, just like Susanna.
Wow, so he's seen cases like this before.
Many times. He knew the system, knew the patterns, knew how vulnerable people get exploited. He became a key advocate for Susanna.
What was their strategy? How could they prove she was innocent?
Witherspoon's main goal was evidence, physical proof that she was a victim. The key had to be those 2 associates back in Ethiopia who delivered the suitcase.
Right, the guy she filmed.
Yeah, exactly. Witherspoon actually traveled to Ethiopia himself, went to the hotel where she stayed, talked to staff. They vaguely remembered her, the Canadian writer.
Did he try to get the security footage, the tapes that might show the handover?
Yes, that was the absolute priority. Getting footage of those men giving her that specific suitcase just before she left for Hong Kong, that would be the smoking gun proving she didn't pack it herself.
And could they get it?
This is where it gets incredibly frustrating. Bureaucracy, red tape. Getting the necessary court order from the Ethiopian authorities to seize the hotel surveillance tapes took time. Too much time.
Don't tell me.
By the time they finally got the order and went to collect the footage, the system had automatically deleted it. Standard procedure, apparently tapes wiped after 3 weeks.
No, so the crucial evidence was just gone.
Gone. They missed it by days, maybe hours. That footage could have potentially cleared her much, much sooner.
Unbelievable bad luck. Or maybe not luck.
Well, it certainly worked out well for the syndicate, didn't it? But there was another attempt.
What was that?
Back in Canada, the police in Barrie, her hometown, tried to intervene. They attempted to work through official channels to secure the actual hard drives containing that surveillance footage directly from Ethiopia.
A police-to-police request.
Exactly. But they hit a brick wall. And a very specific kind of brick wall.
What happened?
The Ethiopian officials they were dealing with demanded money. Monetary payments, basically bribes, in exchange for handing over the evidence. Extortion.
Wow. Just blatant corruption.
Absolutely. And the Canadian police, quite rightly, refused. They weren't going to pay bribes for evidence in an international investigation.
But that refusal meant?
It meant the evidence was lost forever, permanently blocked. Whether it was just local corruption or something more organized, perhaps protecting the syndicate's ground crew, we don't know. But the result was the same. No footage.
So Susanna is stuck in prison. The key evidence is gone or unobtainable. How long did she end up staying there?
270 days. Nearly 9 months in that maximum security facility.
9 months.
While all this investigation was hitting dead ends. But then something shifted. Public awareness started to grow.
How?
A major Canadian investigative news program, W5, picked up the story. They did a big special feature, aired in March 2023. They called it The Cocaine Buttons.
The cocaine buttons, okay.
And that documentary laid out the whole story, the romance scams, the manipulation, the evidence suggesting she was a victim. It got huge attention, not just in Canada, but internationally.
Did it reach Hong Kong?
Yes. Apparently it gained traction even within Hong Kong legal circles. Suddenly, the Department of Justice there was facing serious international pressure. They had this sympathetic, elderly Canadian grandmother locked up in a very public, very compelling case suggesting she was completely innocent and had been horrifically exploited.
So the W5 special really put a spotlight on the case.
It seems to have been a major turning point. It shifted the narrative and likely forced the authorities in Hong Kong to take a very hard look at whether they could or should proceed with the prosecution.
Okay, so the pressure's building internationally thanks to the W5 documentary.
Right.
Susanna has been in prison for nearly 9 months. What happened then?
Then suddenly, in October 2023, everything changed out of nowhere.
How so?
Susanna was just summoned to a Hong Kong courthouse. No warning, no real preparation for her or her legal team. Just, you need to come to court. And the charges were dropped. Just like that. No detailed explanation given publicly. She was told she was free to go.
After 9 months, just dropped.
Exactly. Her lawyer, Michael Arthur, described it as extremely unusual. Cases like this, especially involving that amount of cocaine, don't typically just evaporate without a clear reason stated.
So what was the thinking? Why drop it?
The theory, strongly supported by her lawyer, is that the W5 special created too much political heat. The negative PR of prosecuting an elderly woman who was so clearly a victim of an elaborate international scam became too damaging for the Hong Kong authorities. It was likely a strategic decision to cut their losses and avoid further international scrutiny.
So the documentary might have actually achieved what the legal process couldn't.
It appears so. Public pressure and potential embarrassment seemed to force their hand. But this sudden release raises another really important question.
Which is?
It's about legal ethics and potential wrongful imprisonment. Her lawyer started asking, when exactly did the Hong Kong Department of Justice internally decide they didn't have a strong enough case?
Meaning, did they know earlier they were going to drop the charges but kept her locked up anyway?
Precisely. If they concluded, say, months before that October court date, that they couldn't actually prove she knew about the drugs that they accepted, she was likely a victim, then every day she spent in prison after that internal decision was arguably wrongful imprisonment.
And she could be entitled to compensation.
Potentially, yes. If they knew she was innocent, or at least couldn't prove guilt, but kept her detained for political reasons or just bureaucratic delay, that's a serious issue. It's a key, unresolved question about accountability within their justice system.
So she's finally released, flies back to Canada. What was life like for her back home?
She moved back in with Angela again. But it wasn't a simple, happy homecoming for everyone.
Why not?
The judgment. Remember, she'd been conned twice. Some family members, some friends, they were angry. Angry about her gullibility, maybe angry about money they'd loaned her during the first scam with Walter Williams that was never paid back.
So she faced backlash even from people close to her.
Yes. Some people apparently abandoned her, couldn't forgive her for falling for it all, for the trouble it caused. That secondary victimization, the social shame and isolation, it's often overlooked, but it's incredibly painful.
Being judged as a fool instead of a survivor.
Exactly. The cost goes way beyond the money lost or the time in prison.
Is there any positive outcome for her personally after all this?
Well, two things. First, she swore off online dating completely. Understandable, right? Realized the immense danger.
Can't blame her there.
And second, eventually, she did find love again, back in Canada, offline. A genuine relationship in her community. So a personal happy ending of sorts after everything.
That's good to hear. But what about the criminals? Walter Williams, James Kaywood, the associates in Ethiopia?
Nothing. To this day, absolutely no one has been arrested. No one has faced justice for scamming her out of $200,000 or for using her to transport $150,000 worth of cocaine.
They just got away with it.
Completely. The masterminds behind Walter and James remain shadows online. The ground crew in Ethiopia vanished. The syndicate achieved its goal, moved the drugs, and faced zero consequences.
So the two scams, Walter and James, definitely connected in your view.
The coordination makes it almost certain. First, bleed her dry financially, then use her resulting poverty and emotional desperation to make the second scam, the drug transport, irresistible.
Yeah.
Different tactics, same goal. Exploitation. It points to a single, sophisticated criminal organization. Hashtag outro.
What a story. Susanna Thayer's ordeal, it's a testament to resilience, honestly, but also it's just stark, terrifying warning about how these criminal networks operate today.
It really is. Her journey starts with heartbreak, a simple human need for connection, and ends with her literally fighting for her life against a system, against criminals who saw her as nothing more than a tool.
And you mentioned this feels like part of a bigger pattern, the mule trap.
Yeah, That's what some investigators call it. This isn't just random phishing emails anymore. These syndicates invest serious time, sometimes months, building deep emotional trust. They target specific vulnerabilities: grief, loneliness, financial hardship, like we saw with Susanna. They turn romance scam victims into drug mules. It's a calculated next step for them once the money's gone, or if the target fits the profile for transport.
So, thinking about our listeners, people travel internationally all the time. What's the key takeaway here? What should people be vigilant about?
It boils down to this. Be incredibly skeptical of accepting anything from a new acquaintance, or even someone you think you know well online but haven't met extensively in person when you're traveling internationally.
Especially near border crossings.
Especially then. Never, ever agree to carry a suitcase, a package, even clothing or a small gift for someone else across a border. No matter how nice they seem, no matter how convincing the story is.
Even if it seems like a kind gesture, like those dresses.
Particularly if it seems like a kind gesture that involves you carrying something you didn't pack yourself. The rule has to be absolute. If you are crossing an international border, you only travel with items that you personally own and that you packed yourself. Period.
Because these syndicates are real, and they're incredibly good at manipulating trust.
They are real, they are sophisticated, and their methods are constantly evolving to exploit human emotion and kindness. Susanna's story is horrific, but hopefully it serves as a powerful warning that can prevent someone else from ending up in the same nightmare.
A crucial warning indeed. Thanks for walking us through this incredible case. See you next time.